Welcome back everybody, Matt the Bat here, hope you're doing well. So the new movie, Five Nights at Freddy's, is out both in the movie theater and on Peacock. And I went and actually saw it in the movie theater. I thought this is the last weekend before Halloween, last weekend of October. It's supposed to be like a horror film based on a video game that is supposed to be very scary and terrifying, almost like the Last of Us video game. I don't play video games, so I've never actually played this game, but, I am one of those people, like so many, who grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. I don't know what kid in the 80s and 90s did not go and have their birthday at Chuck E. Cheese at least once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, or had friends that had their birthday at Chuck E. Cheese and went. It's like the scene in the Santa Claus. What do you mean you don't like Denny's? It's an American institution. What do you mean you never had a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese? It's an American institution. You never had your birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. There's nothing wrong with you. And I am one of those kids, like I said, who went to Chuck E. Cheese many, many times in the 90s. And, we got to watch those animatronic robots on stage dancing and singing and all that while we sat there and ate our pizza. But also, I would say, those things were actually pretty creepy. When they weren't dancing and singing and all that, when you would just go up to the stage and look behind the curtain, and it was all dark, and they were just standing there, they did look terrifying. Like, for a little kid in the early 90s, when you're like 3 to 4, maybe 5 years old, those things can look pretty creepy when they're not dancing and moving around and all that. So, I thought, man, if they made a movie on those, that could be interesting. They get a horror film, and they did. But it's not Chuck E. Cheese. It was 5, these, Teddy, a bear, I think it is, a fox, some other creatures, but they are animatronics. Like that, inspired by Chuck E. Cheese because they're on a stage, they come out, they dance, they sing, then they go back in behind the curtain, and they're all dark and quiet, creepy. So I was like, you know what? I want to see this. And I did. And I'm going to do another video talking about, well, a movie like this, yeah, you can watch it at home on Peacock, or you can go to the movie theater. Why the movie theater will always be the better experience, especially with a horror film. But anyway, let's get into it. Positives. Josh Hutcherson plays our main character, Mike. He's the one who gets the job at the pizza place that has the Freddy. Which Freddy? Freddy got fingered or Freddy Krueger? We don't know. And he is the security guard at this place overnight. Has to watch the building throughout the night, make sure everything is fine. I think Josh Hutcherson did an amazing job in this movie. He's easily the best part of this film. He brings some humor, he brings a lot of serious dramatic weight in the role. He's likable. His relationship with his sister in this movie. Pepper Rubio plays Josh Hutcherson's sister, younger sister, and I thought they had great chemistry together. She also, I've never seen her in anything before. I thought she did a really good job. She brought a lot of humor, but she's very lonely as a character, and I thought for a young actress, she really did a good job with that. I love how they use practical effects, animatronics, no CGI or anything like that. It really brought some weight to the film, especially in the horror elements. Because once again, if you grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese, imagine if those things came to life and were evil, oh boy. And to have that more believability using actual animatronics, the Jim Henson production team actually built these things, so I think that was very impressive. It also has humor throughout the movie. I didn't know, I didn't play the video game, so I wasn't sure, but this movie does have humor throughout the film. When we do get the horror elements in this movie, that's when they do work. We get very little of them. One in the middle of the movie and then one in the last 15 minutes of the film. But when they do happen, I thought they worked. Even though I think if they were rated R, this movie was rated R, that would have heightened the horror element even more. And they do have some jump scares in this movie. There were a couple of times where even I jumped in the theater. So I like that element also. My main negative is, since this is PG-13, you don't get the true horror elements that you might want. I think this would have been better rated R. And there's no nudity in this movie, there's a little bit of language. But in terms of just the horror aspect, I wish this movie was like a harder PG-13 or R. And I think they could have maybe got away with it. Because we are talking about animatronics killing people instead of human on human. So there might have been a way to bypass that a little bit. Also, this movie is almost 2 hours long. I think this movie could have been even better, tighter film. Like 10 or 15 minutes shorter. I love how a movie like this focuses on the character development, both with Josh Hutcherson's character individually on himself, but also the brother and sister dynamic, which you normally wouldn't get in this movie. Have more character development than horror, but I think this movie, even though I did like the character development, this movie should have probably been about 10 minutes shorter. It would have been like an hour 45, hour 40. I think it would have been a tighter film and maybe a better, well-rounded film. Because the problem is, you have all these character moments, but like I said, very little of the horror elements. And if you tighten the movie up a little bit, those horror elements wouldn't seem so far in between. And I think we needed more Matthew Lillard. He plays the guy that hires Josh Hutcherson to run this pizza joint, if you will. And we see him at the beginning, and then we don't see him until the third act of the movie. And who doesn't want more of Matthew Lillard? I'll just say, no spoilers, but if you're a fan of Scream 1, I think you're going to like Matthew Lillard. At certain moments, there's a very, very good Easter egg if you're a Scream fan. I didn't know what to expect going in. This movie has like a 22 on Rotten Tomatoes for critically. Audience has like an 85, 89. I wouldn't put it that high. But I would give this movie like a 3.9 out of 5. Like I said, I think if it was just a little bit tighter and they focused more on the horror elements, and maybe if this was rated R, I thought this was still a pretty fun movie. And I would actually like to see a sequel. Matt the Bat here. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let me know, did you like Five Nights at Freddy's? Did you play the video game now or growing up? Do you want to see a sequel? Let me know in the comments below. Did you watch this in the movie theater with the crowd? Or did you do the little peacock